the participants of the Navavidha Bakthi. There are 9 types of Bhakti, and reciting these are Tara,
Mini,
Aparna,
Jayalakshmi,
Jaisri,
Arya,
Lata,
Ramani Pandalu,
Smita.
Namaste. Navavidha Bakthi, the 9 divine paths to moksha. This simple word called devotion can seem very easy to look at. It is in fact hard to put to practice and even hard to explain. Although it suggests a fascinating methodology, it is indeed a process to be approached with utmost respect and reverence. Satvasmin paraprema rupo bhakti, says Narada Bhakti Sutra. It is an immaculate form of love itself that takes shape over the course of time as a person develops an intensive form of affection towards the one whom he believes to be the supermost of all powers. As we try to analyze the process of bhakti, naturally, our attention tends to focus on one of the most authorized Puranic texts of Hinduism, Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhagavatha Puraana reveals the means for becoming free from all material work, together with the process of transcendental knowledge. Also, renunciation and devotion to Lord Vishnu. The inquisitive souls that approaches this supreme scripture thus becomes completely liberated from material bondage and attains moksha from the cycle of births and deaths. The idea is simplified to its atomic form and then condensed into a single sloka. Enraptured with the opportunity that I am blessed with, I am sharing with you all the very discreet part of Srimad Bhagavatam that explains what the process of devotion is all about. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Padasevanam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakhyam Atmanivedanam. As the simplicity of the verse suggests, there are 9 well-defined forms of bhakti that facilitates us to attain the supreme abode. Our humble intention is to reveal this through a few examples that most of us have probably heard and learned from our ancestors over generations. Here it is, Navavidha Bakthi.
Shravana Bhakti, listening to God's divine names and feeling His forms, actions, qualities, and enjoying His mysteries while immersing oneself in His glorious Leela is one great form of devotion to possess. The auditory inception of devotion as a quality in a bhakta is hence being examined first and foremost as we start thinking about Navavidha Bakthi. Salient aspects of Shravana Bhakti can be studied by taking the example of King Parikshit. Born to Abhimanyu and Uttara, Parikshit became an ardent devotee of Lord Krishna. While growing as an embryo in Uttara's womb, Parikshit seemed to possess such immaculate forms of blessings from Bhagavan that the fiery weapons released by Ashwatthama took no effect. It did no harm to him, as the halo of Bhagavan's blessings had already become an armor that encased him. Once, as he wandered through the forest hunting for animals, the demon Kali met him, seeking permission to enter the kingdom. Although the permission was initially declined, he kept on insisting until when Parikshit finally granted him access to 5 interesting types of places. Where there is gambling, where there is alcohol consumed, where there is prostitution, where occurs animal slaughter, and where there is gold. The deceitful Kali at once sat on the king's golden crown, only to craft malicious thoughts he could implant within. Soon enough, Parikshit encountered a sage called Shamika while he was thirsty. Shamika was indulged in deep meditation, took a bit too long to pay attention to Parikshit, who was already feeling offended. Outrageous was the furious king, who took a dead snake and threw it against the sage Shamika, who was still doomed in prayers. Shringin, son of this great sage, heard about this. He allegedly cursed Maharaja Parikshit that he shall die on the 7th day, resulting from a snake bite. This was an absolute twist. Wary of his fate that was getting closer, the king renounced everything. He sat on the banks of the river Ganga and listened to sage Shukadeva, who recited Srimad Bhagavatam for him. Well, what effect might this listening have imposed on Parikshit? As many of us are probably aware, this is what he said to Shukadeva as he acknowledged. Revered Shukadeva, you have led me to the utmost state of fearlessness. I am absolutely at peace and I am not afraid of death.
Narayana 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 Murti Narakarnava Bhayanashana Sukritadhipa Murti Narayana 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 Murti Narakarnava Bhayanashana Sukritadhipa Murti Narayana 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 Murti Narakarnava Bhayanashana Sukritadhipa Murti.
Kirtana Bhakti. Kirtana Bhakti consists of chanting God's divine names and its various and glorious forms. Kirtana could be about the Lord's qualities, mystery and leelas. Whilst in a sublime state of mind, the devotee chants to realize divine bliss, experiencing absolute lightening of his heart. The very embodiment of Kirtana form of devotion is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. While Europe, as if wary of its medieval concepts on God, turned with new interest towards man, a spiritual revolution that was destined to spread worldwide was revealing the dynamic nature of the absolute truth. Lord Chaitanya, who belonged to West Bengal in India, showed us how to awaken our love for Lord Krishna while living in this world. This extremely influential person spent the first 24 years spreading teachings from Srimad Bhagavatam and singing Swami's Kirtanam, his holy names. Having spent such blessed time in the holy city of Jagannatha Puri, he realized how ecstatic pleasure can be derived from pure love for Krishna. Religious texts justify that Lord Chaitanya is his own worshipper form of Bhagavan Krishna himself. It has also been mentioned that he is the combined form of Krishna and his utmost devotee Radharani. Lord Chaitanya's love for Krishna was nothing less than the love Radha had towards Bhagavan, unfathomable, surreal, profound and unsurpassed. Once under deep ecstasy, Chaitanya Prabhu fell into the sea and got caught in the net of a fisherman. He was rescued and treated by the fisherman, to whose surprise, Lord Chaitanya regained consciousness, stood up and walked away as if nothing had happened. The fisherman suddenly stood up and started singing and dancing as he felt the huge energy that extruded out of Prabhu's Bhakti Bhava. According to Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Chaitanya is the Yuga Avatara for Kali Yuga, that he descended to propagate Nama Sankirtanam, to reiterate and restore the strength of devotion in people's minds. So, to conclude this Kirtana Bhakti, I am going to chant the Nama Sankirtana propagated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I invite you all to join in this. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Smarana Bhakti, constant remembrance of God, is one of the prime forms of devotion that one can see, feel, and perceive. Bhagavad Gita says, "The one who sees me in everything and everything in me, I am always present for him as he is always present for me." Prahalada, the pristine form of a devotee, the unblemished bhakti of Prahalada is the classic example of Smarana Bhakti. Unceasingly intense form of his devotion gave Prahalada constant remembrance of Lord Vishnu. The belief is that Narada taught Prahalada the Narayana mantra while Prahalada was still in his mother's womb. Prahalada is the son of Kayadu and Hiranyakashipu, the evil king with a rare capability. Hiranyakashipu had received a boon that he could not be killed by man or animal during day or night, inside or outside. Hiranyakashipu felt outraged at Prahalada's paramount form of Vishnu Bhakti, and he decided to commit filicide and to poison Prahalada, but all in vain. He then tried to trample the boy with elephants, enclosed him in a room full of venomous snakes, and did even worse things than all of these every following time, as none of the acts brought any amount of harm to the boy. Holika, who can never be burnt by fire, and who was Hiranyakashipu's sister, held the young Prahalada in her lap and sat on a pyre to burn him alive. However, Lord Vishnu held him in his very own hands, and while Holika got burnt to death, Prahalada still survived. This event is being recalled as we celebrate Holi as a festival each year. Abuses from Hiranyakashipu were well tolerated by Prahalada with grace from the Almighty, who eventually saved this devotee by descending in the form of Narasimha Avatara. The Lord placed the nasty king upon his lap to be torn apart with sharp nails at the entrance steps of his home at dusk. That was the end of the life of the king, who could never be killed otherwise by man or animal, day or night, inside or outside. The gods descended from heavens to offer hymns for Lord Vishnu, and Prahalada fell at his feet and broke forth into exquisite hymns of praise and devotion. "You shall ask for anything that you desire," said the Lord to Prahalada, and here is how Prahalada replied. "That intense love, O Lord, which the ignorant bear to worldly things, may I have the same love for you, but only for love's sake."
Pada Sevanam. The fourth of the 9 processes of Bhakti Yoga is Pada Sevanam, serving the feet of Lord. Why feet? It is a sign of deep humility. Indians teach children to touch the feet of their elders to show respect. This is actually one of the humblest of all approaches. The Lord makes it yet a lot attractive with his extraordinarily beautiful feet. Following Shravanam, Kirtanam and Smaranam in an order, it signifies a logical progression. Our example here is Bharata, who is considered to be born in the aspect of Sudarshana Chakra, the most prominent of Mahavishnu's Pancha Ayudhas. The second of the 4 sons of Dasharatha, Bharata is known for his indigenous piousness that he hardly turns his arms against anyone. Soon after Rama sets off for Vanavasa, Bharata had to approach the brothers with the news of the sad demise of their father. He pleaded to Rama to return to his kingdom as the successive emperor, while Sri Rama refused for a comeback. Deeply disappointed, Bharata returned to Ayodhya with a strong hope of redeeming his brother as the ruler of the kingdom in good time. He agreed to govern Ayodhya as Rama's representative until he returned, but placed the Lord's sandals at the foot of the throne and neither sat upon it, nor he crowned himself. Bharata's reign was righteous. Prosperous was his safe kingdom. He desired Rama's return and diligently served his 3 mothers until Rama and Lakshmana were back. Sri Rama declared that his love for Sri Hanuman was on par with that he had towards Bharata. It is well remembered that Rama had such high esteem and such deep affection for Bharata. The renowned poet Tulsidas later on sang his thoughts out by saying that those who listen to Bharata's life with respect are entwined by ties of love to the feet of Rama and Sita and are thus redeemed from worldly desires. Shri Rama Govinda Narayanananda Shri Vasudeva Mukunda Hare. Shri Rama Govinda Narayanananda Shri Vasudeva Mukunda Hare. Shri Rama Govinda Narayanananda Shri Vasudeva Mukunda Hare.
Archana Bhakti. Deep reverence and Shraddha, the sagacious form of attention, are of prime importance in Archana Bhakti. It is the physical means of worshipping God, whom we see in the form of a serene incarnation, an idol. Exact rules or upacharas that are prescribed in the scriptures have to be strictly followed. This form of devotion is relatively strict as there are rules in place regarding procedures like bathing and clothing the deity, offering food, scents, etc. Chapter 9, verse 26 of Bhagavad Gita presents a shloka that simply explained this idea. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhaktyupahritam ashnami prayatatmanaha. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, fruit or water, I will accept it. Coming back to Srimad Bhagavatam, our example here is King Pithu. He is celebrated as the first consecrated king from whom the earth received its name Prithvi. After the prolonged festivity and celebrations following his crowning, a terrible flow of famine struck Prithu's kingdom. It affected not only the measure of food and grains, also that of strength, beauty, art, music, love and goodness. Despair ruled the country as the misfortune hurled around the prosperity of his kingdom. Everyone wondered why the Mother Earth has suddenly stopped yielding. One day, she came in the guise of a cow to explain what the solution to all the worries in the kingdom can be. King Prithu was told how important it is to pay respect, sacrifices and offerings in deep reverence, that any amount of hard work or effort gets complemented by God's grace to make it complete. So it yields the desired outcome. Prithu then conducted a yajna for the prosperity of his people. He invited the devas of the celestial sphere to witness it. The yajna was also graced by Lord Mahavishnu himself. Bhagavan imparted such knowledge in King Prithu that he undertook the duty of spreading this great message of Archana Bhakti, urging people to dedicate themselves and to serve Lord sincerely. It was indeed the absolute path of purification that people learned how to reach the lotus feet Mahavishnu by conquering death.
Vandana Bhakti. Prayer and prostration together shows Vandana Bhakti. Humble prostration touching the earth with 8 limbs of the body, which is Sashtanga Namaskaram, with faith and reverence before the Lord is termed Vandanam. An illuminating example for this is Akrura, the astute minister of Kamsa, who was also a relative of Sri Krishna and one of his great devotee too. Once, Kamsa invited Krishna and Balarama for a ceremony and sent Akrura to escort them. Akrura could not contain himself when he entered Vrindavana, and the consequent outsurge of emotions made him shed tears of overjoy. He jumped onto the land of Vrindavana and rolled around on the earth crying, "Oh, this is the dust touched by the feet of my beloved Lord." As he met Krishna later while he was milking the cows, Akrura did Sashtanga Namaskara at Lord's feet. Bhagavan, who knew the purity in devotees' love for him, helped him to his feet, drew him to his heart, and embraced him. Jubilantly, Akrura accompanied Krishna and Balarama on their way to Mathura. Thirsty on the way, he stopped by river Yamuna. The visuals of Krishna and Balarama appeared in the sparkling water of the flowing river. Bewildered and excited at the same time, Akrura looked back at the chariot to find them sitting there. Imagining that it is a hallucination, he dipped back into the water. Then he saw Lord Krishna in his divine form. Well, as we come back to the concept of Sashtanga Namaskara, which is part of Vandana Bhakti, the thought comes to our minds as to whether there is a necessity of falling completely flat on the ground with all 8 limbs touching the earth. It is utmost humility. Our ego is absolutely wiped out such that bhakti flows out from us to the Supreme.
Krishna Hari Jaya, Krishna Hari Jaya, Krishna Hari Jaya, Krishna Hari, Krishna Hari Jaya, Krishna Hari Jaya, Krishna Hari Jaya, Krishna Hari, Krishna Hari Jaya, Krishna Hari Jaya, Krishna Hari Jaya, Krishna Hari.
Dasya Bhakti. Being in selfless service of God, fulfilling His intentions and carrying out His will at all times. These features together make Dasya Bhakti. The word Dasya itself reminds us of the unanimous thought of the greatest example of a Bhakta, Sri Hanuman. Hanuman is the symbol of selfless service, the utmost humble, mighty and unfathomable. Among all Bhaktas, we probably see Hanuman is the unique devotee of Bhagavan Sri Rama. He is believed to be the very breath of Lord Sri Rama, and whoever utters the name of Rama automatically revokes the attention of Lord Hanuman, so that the blessings they receive become instantaneously multifold. Hanuman expresses his relationship with Rama like this: in body consciousness, I am Rama's servant. In Jiva consciousness, I am part of himself. And in Atma consciousness, I am Rama himself. After completing his earthly duties, when Rama left his physical body, many of his entourage decided to depart with him. However, Hanuman requested Rama for a consent for him to remain on earth for as long as Rama is venerated by people. After the Rajyabhishekam of Rama, the celebration in the palace continued as Rama rewarded his allies and honored them with precious gifts. Seeing Hanuman there, Sri Rama simply embraced him, declaring that he could never adequately repay Hanuman. Goddess Sita, however, insisted that Hanuman deserves accolades of honor and presented to him a necklace of precious stones that once adorned her neck. Upon receiving it, Hanuman took it apart and carefully peered into each stone. People only wondered why he was destroying such a precious gift. The wonder was taken to further heights as he answered them, saying that he wanted to make sure that his Lord and Sita Devi had to be seen in each one of those stones, without which he could assign no value to the beautiful necklace. By the time some of the people started mocking and questioning Hanuman about the genuinity of his devotion for Rama and Sita. In response, Hanuman tore his chest open and astonished everyone as they saw Rama and Sita literally sitting within.
Shri Rama Jaya Rama Jaya Jaya Rama Om. 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 Shri Rama Jaya Rama Jaya Jaya Rama Om.
Sakhya Bhakti. Sakhya means friendship. It means affinity, association, and activity in partnership. Where all of this happen between a devotee and the Almighty, a unique example of Sakhya Bhakti originates. Here you find such intimacy between the Bhagavan and his Bhakta, whose constant desire for the Lord's company earns him the title of Bhagavan Sakha, that he becomes privileged to remain in a secure contact with his Swami by all means. Such a Bhakta feels elated at the very mere mention of the Lord's name. Where physical love is thus turned spiritual, there happens to be a transformation of the mundane into the eternal alongside. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says to Arjuna, "O Arjuna, you are both my friend and Bhakta." The example of Arjuna is hence vital as we attempt to comprehend Sakhya Bhakti. Arjuna was extremely fortunate to receive the Virat Rupa Darshanam at Kurukshetra. Krishna had an exemplary relationship with his Sakha at all times. Dwaraka became plot to the first sight of love between Subhadra, who is Krishna's sister, and Arjuna. By the time Balarama, the elder brother, had already promised Subhadra's hand to Duryodhana. Reluctant to overrule elder brother's decision and fearing his wrath, Krishna suggested Arjuna to elope with his sister Subhadra. Adding to it, he suggested that Subhadra shall drive the chariot and hence safeguard Arjuna from Balarama's anger, as technically this would bring the implication that Subhadra has taken Arjuna away by force. Tactfully, using the situation to one's advantage, this is how Krishna crafted the plan to protect his friend for a worthy cause. Like all the other processes of devotional service, Sakhyam is both a means to purify one's heart and soul. This enchanted form of spiritual consciousness is hard to attain but yet pursuable. Bhagavan, who is the only one who is with us, within us, and keeping us withstanding all worldly turmoil, thus become an exceptional friend, the absolute Sakha, only if we can approach him with such devotion. Now, that's a friend. Recognizing that Lord has already extended himself to you. It is left to you to reciprocate this unique friendship.
Atmanivedanam. Offering oneself wholly, including one's material possessions with firm conviction, is called Atmanivedana. We are looking at a well-known example as we try to explain this idea. King Bali, the grandson of Prahlada. This mighty king happened to perform Ashwamedham, the Vedic sacrifice to acquire power, glory, and prosperity. During the sacrifice, an adolescent Brahmin walked in requesting a piece of land where he could meditate. The boy was none other than the Vamana, avatara of Mahavishnu. The king readily agreed as a boy claimed the need of 3 footsteps of space. Instantaneously, Vamana's body expanded up into cosmic proportions to measure out all the words in the first 2 footsteps. As it remained nowhere to place the 3rd footstep of Vamana, King Bali bowed before him in reverence and requested him to place his foot on his head. After having given up everything thus, did King Bali feel any amount of remorse or bitterness? Not at all. This is what he said: "Thank you, God, for your grace. Where people become blind with pride and wealth, it's you, indeed, who, by taking away that wealth, can give us back our eyes." This realization was the greatest transformation that King Bali underwent. Having totally surrendered to God, he qualified himself to that care and protection. As how Bhagavan promised in Bhagavad Gita that one who pays attention to me with Ananya Bhakti, I will take care of his well-being materialistically, spiritually, and eternally. Atmanivedana means the absolute way of surrender. It draws down God's grace, which makes it complete. Vamana taught King Mahabali that pride has to be abandoned for effective advancement. Mahabali also realized that wealth and worldly pleasure are merely momentous. It can easily vanish. Vamana later on took the form of Mahavishnu, being pleased by King Bali's devotion of surrender. Atmanivedanam, which only grew stronger even upon receiving curse and upon losing wealth. The Lord alone renamed the king as Raja Mahabali, honoring him as Mahatma, the great soul. He allowed Mahabali to return to the spiritual sky. Mahavishnu also declared that Mahabali would be able to rule the universe in the following yuga. Ananyas chindayendo mam ye jana panyupasate tesham nityabhiyuktana yogakshemam vahamyaham. Thank you.
As we conclude our humble elaboration about Navavidha Bakthi, I would like to include a short quote from Mukundamala. Here it is: "Jihve kirtaya keshavam muraripum cheto bhaja Sridharam panidvandva samarchaya achyuta kataha strotradvayam tvam shrunu Krishnam lokaya lochanadvaye harer gacha anghri yugmalayam Jigraghrana mukunda pada tulasim murdha nama adhokshajam." As we perceive messages through our senses that the brain interprets to be the various mighty forms of Bhagavan, it becomes immensely important for us to open our hearts with such innocence that the malicious impulses get no access to enter within. How is this made possible? This is how it is, like outlined in Mukundamala: "Let my tongue sing the praise of Keshava, and my mind always think about Muraripu, my Lord. May my hands worship Sridhara, my pair of ears listen to the stories of Achyuta. Thus my eyes behold Sri Krishna, while my feet go to Hari's abode, and my nose shall hence smell the fragrance of Tulasi at Mukunda's feet, as I bow my head to Adhokshaja." Hari Om. Thank you very much.